We don't want to hold you hostage here at Velvet Pig, so for those of you who just want the top line, straight cuts are 99% of the cut types that you'll be using in video editing. L and J cuts allow you to bring in audio and video over or under a previous clip or the next clip in an attempt to cover up ums and ahs and other small visual defects. Jump cuts are really good for single camera style vlogs and to inject pace into an edit. And match cuts are great by linking camera movement and objects and shapes to each other in an attempt to add a level of refinement to an edit. Have a good day. For those of you who want to learn a little bit more in depth about how these cut types work and where to use them, watch on. Whether you're a new or experienced editor, it's always good to have a range of tools that you understand and know where to deploy when you're working through projects. Regardless of the industry that you're in, having a good foundation really does pay dividends down the line. It will go a long way to helping you land those higher end clients. It sounds a bit cliche, but even knowing the names of techniques will help you explain to your client how you're going to achieve their vision. I'm willing to bet that all of you have used at least one of these cuts, probably the straight cut, and that most of you have used more than one. Maybe you do or don't know the names of the cut that you've used, or maybe you're just tuning in to see how to correctly use them in a video. So first up on the chopping board is the humble straight cut. You use the straight cut pretty much to cut together two or more pieces of footage to give the illusion of continuity, and they can pretty much be used for anything from montages to interviews to short films to feature-length films to pretty much whatever you can think of. But thinking about how they can make a scene feel goes a really long way towards making your cuts feel informed. As an example of this, and something that you may have encountered, take two different interviews. One of the interviewees has a slow, methodical way of talking, and the other's a little bit more animated and maybe a little bit more passionate. You could simply smash the B-roll over the top any which way and basically cover up the edits that you've made. Imagine that you've got a single camera interview and you don't want to have jump cuts in it, so you just put the B-roll over the top, right? However it lands, it covers the cuts up, right? I'm sure we've all done this before. You could think a little bit more about the cuts that you're making though. Take the smooth, slow, methodical talker, take some B-roll and put it down on the timeline and try to match it with her cadence, with the way that she speaks. She speaks slowly. Draw out the B-roll a little bit. Make it flow with the way that she's speaking. Make it punctuate the points that she's making. You know, really amplify what the speaker is saying by matching the B-roll to the way that she speaks. It doesn't just need to be there to cover up edits. And now the second guy, you really can make this more staccato, make it more cutty, match the interviewee's energy. It's energetic, he's passionate, make the cut match the way that he's speaking, you know, make it punctuate his points and bring it to a crescendo at the end when we come out. You know, you don't have to cut these the same way. They're two different energies, and you really can make the B-roll flow in two different ways. We're not using any fancy editing techniques here, just the straight cut, but thinking about every cut and how it augments the sequence and then the video as a whole really is critical to developing your editing skills. The next two cuts are basically the same thing, but used in different applications. You've probably encountered it before, specifically in interview or vlog style footage, single camera footage where the person speaking makes a little guff, like a or an R, or has a kind of visual defect, and the take is really good otherwise, but it all of a sudden becomes something that you can't use, or you kind of have to pave over with B-roll in an attempt to use that piece of footage. There are a few ways to get around this, like single word audio replacements that allow you to cover over audio issues by pulling them out from another piece of a sequence. And I can show you how to do these in another video if it's something that you want to see. But today I'll basically show you how to use L and J cuts for a more stylish and effective way of covering these up. In essence, you're either cutting the picture and continuing the audio, or bringing the audio in before the picture to cover an edit. The L cut is amazing if your interviewee makes a mistake at the end of a clip that you love. You can simply trim the footage a couple of words before the end of the clip and just bring in the next clip sooner. This is especially good if you have an A and B cam set up. You can basically bring the B cam in a few beats sooner, and it's a really good way of covering up any mistakes, visual mistakes that you have at the end of an interview clip. The J cut is essentially the same thing, but on the other side of the clip. If you've got a visual mistake at the beginning of a clip, whether it be interview or anything else, you basically pull the video away from the front of the clip and then allow the previous clip to roll into the next one. Now, you may have seen this before, especially in kind of emotive interviews where they let the previous clip hang. You know, if there's a powerful point that they're making and they really want to drive it home, especially if the interviewee's face is quite a powerful moment, then they'll allow the previous clip to hang over the next one. But it can also be used to great effect to cover up any kind of visual issues you've got to create a seamless transition. Now it's for the infamous or famous jump cut. Now, I'm sure a lot of you that have edited for social and YouTube have used the jump cut a lot, probably to great effect. It really is a good way of covering ground in single camera pieces. I myself have encountered it less. I've got more experience cutting corporate and TV content and kind of short form content, and it doesn't really appear a lot there, simply because what you're going for in those kinds of videos is seamlessness and smoothness and, you know, production value, which isn't to say that, you know, the jump cut doesn't add production value to a video, but it's seen as more of an online and social kind of cut as opposed to a corporate and kind of TV kind of edit. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a place in your arsenal. The concept is simple. You basically take out the middle bit of a piece of footage and let it jump to the next piece of footage. You've probably seen it a lot in this video that I'm cutting right now. I'm just going to riff a bit and give you an idea of all of the places that it can kind of be used to great effect. If you've got a 10-second clip of someone talking and the middle 3 seconds are a bunch of crap, just cut it out. If you've got a single camera piece, a little bit like I'm shooting now, and you've got no B cam to cut to, just cut it together. It doesn't matter. Cut those middle bits of footage out and string them together. The subject's gonna jump, you know, but that's perfectly acceptable for online cases. And the same goes if subject makes a mistake, which, I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes in this video. There's probably going to be quite a lot of jump cuts. One word of caution here, and that's to use it carefully with B-roll. It can create a really cool effect if you chop up, say, a panning or tracking shot to cover more ground. I'll pop in a clip here of my 2020 showreel, which uses jump cuts to great effect, basically to cover more ground and to match the cut of the music. But if it's used incorrectly, it will basically make it look like you've forgotten to delete footage off of the timeline, and nobody wants their hard work to look like a mistake. They're also really good for making a video feel intentionally jarring or unsettling, like if you're going for more of a horror or a thriller kind of style feel to it. I mean, I could say a lot more on jump cuts, but they're one of the few cuts that you can put on a timeline and you'll basically know if it doesn't feel right, it will feel jarring. So, you know, just use your instincts. And the final cut that we'll cover is the match cut. Now, there's a really good chance that you've seen a lot of match cuts in your life, and maybe your brain hasn't kind of consciously realized what it's seeing, but you know, it's there nonetheless. And the general gist of it is to use similar qualities of pieces of footage to string them together, whether that be camera movements, matching a camera move left to right with another camera movement left to right, or say a wheel with a piece of orange or whatever, anything, any kind of like movement or shapes you can match. And probably the most infamous or famous example of this would be the 2001 A Space Odyssey's Bone Club to Spaceship match cut. The main caveat here is that you're basically at the mercy of the footage that you've been given. Now, if you are in the privileged position to be consulted about what you want to do with the edit before the production team's gone out and shot it, then you can tell them that you want similar pieces of footage to do a match cut with, a nice montage with. If it's a racing video, then anything circular, tires and other circular shaped things in motor racing. But if you haven't, it will basically be down to your instincts and what you can find, and also what you can construct. If you were given 4K footage, you can punch in and basically fake left to right movements of things that are similar shapes to make a matched cut. So how do you execute a match cut? Well, I have an example here of a gin commercial that we developed and shot and edited here. Full disclaimer, we did plan this out with the express intention of creating a bunch of matched cuts, but as you can see, we matched shapes here. We have a piece of orange and a whirlpool, or a whirlpool and a piece of orange. I can't exactly remember the order that we put them in. And we also have camera movements that match between shots throughout to create an illusion that every single shot is kind of bleeding into the next shot and make it look like it's one uninterrupted sequence, even though it's kind of not. It really is a great way of linking two totally different subjects together and making it look really, really seamless. And just to round up, I'd say experiment with the footage that you have, put it together, make a montage with straight cuts, and then maybe pull the footage out and try and reorganize it as maybe a match cut. Try an interview with no B-roll over the top and jump cut it, and then maybe try an interview with all B-roll over the top so that it looks like one seamless piece of footage. It's really a great way to look at how you can cut the same video in different ways with different techniques and really understand where the application for all of these different kind of cuts comes in. And it will really go a long way to helping you develop your skills as an editor. Remember to like and subscribe, or thumbs down if you didn't like it. As always, leave a comment if you think I'm speaking a load of... I probably am. I'll be happy to read pretty much anything you want to put down there. I'll respond, maybe. Look out for more videos in the future.